Hi guys, it's your two poly chicks again, Tiffany and Stephanie. And today we just want to say happy Veterans Day to all of those who served in our great armed forces of the United States of America. We're grateful that you volunteered, unless you were in the draft when you were voluntold. We're happy and grateful that you volunteered to serve in our armed forces. Veterans Day is basically a day. It's been I wrote it down, and it's been celebrated
1921, right?
Since 1919, when it was called Armistice Day. It was called Armistice Day to kind of celebrate the end of World War I. And we've basically celebrated it ever since. It's been November the 11th for a while, even though somebody tried to change it to have it consistently on the 4th. Yeah,
it was October at one point.
The fourth Monday of October, like kind of like President's Day, where they do or Memorial Day, where it's a certain day each each month, but they switched it back to November 11th, which I like that date. November 11th is kind of cool. So I mean,
it's actually, Tiff, it's 11/11/11. It's the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, because that's when there was the peace agreement with Germany.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's 11/11/11.
I like that. 11/11/11. So, well, 11. I guess it was 11/11/11 in 2011 too. And but it's celebrated all the time. And unlike Memorial Day, it's to celebrate those who are who've ever served. Memorial Day is for those who died while serving,
right? Remembering
them, right? But Veterans Day, it's more for whoever has served and, like I said, volunteered or voluntold to serve. So that's really why we celebrate it. And I do want to give a shout out. I think we both wanted to give a shout out to Colin Powell, who he was, I think he passed from blood cancer. I didn't notate that.
Yeah, they said it was cancer. I don't know which kind, but he had cancer in addition to COVID. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah. That unfortunately he served in so many different wars. I think, was it 2 wars that he served in?
He was with a lot of, I think he was from Clinton time. Like he was from
before that. I think, was it Reagan?
Maybe Reagan. Guys, if we wrong, we'll just put it in the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, don't quote this on factual. We're just trying to figure out when he served from, but he did serve for quite some time, and he was
a lot of presidents.
And COVID took him out. I'm like, it's just so crazy how that happened.
Yeah, and people are gonna say, "Oh no, he was gonna die anyway because he had cancer." Well, if you had cancer and you get ran over by a car, then the car killed you, not cancer.
Yeah, so, I'm like, it definitely is, and I hate when people say that. It's like, oh,
isn't that stupid? That.
Yeah, I mean, he was good. We all are gonna die anyway, but it's usually from something or some type of thing that happened to us. I did want to say I'm a proud Navy mom. I'm a very proud Navy mom. I didn't want my son to go into the service because I felt like he had other choices, and the way they have treated military men that were of color, it wasn't, the status that I thought was acceptable, because I know they had the Vietnam War, when the guys had went over it. Maybe it was before that. Was it the Civil War? I'm thinking of the Civil War when they started.
I'm trying to think of which war were we treated good. I was just waiting, trying to remember.
But no, not that they were treated good, is that they thought
treated fairly.
That they would have some type of they would come back with this prestige and be treated like an equal.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately.
It was even segregated at one point. We couldn't even be in the same thing. We're fighting for the same cause, but we're segregated.
Yeah, it's crazy. So a little bit of that background kind of made me say, oh, well, maybe you should look at all your other options. But he really wanted to serve and, go in and take the chance and see if he liked it or not. So I am still proud of him and his efforts. He learned a lot, and he's gotten a lot of, not that he wasn't disciplined, but he's gotten a lot of discipline, a lot of when they say, oh, my dad was a Navy dad, I could see the way he acts with Donovan, how he's like,
they're very my father was in the Navy, and
nice.
I'm an auntie of a Navy man, so
Nice.
definitely that rigid.
Yes. Yes. I was like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be sitting there like, I'm gonna fall in line too. Let me just
Yeah.
get myself together.
Yeah, I gotta get it right. My father was in the Navy, I believe. I think it's the Navy he was in. Yeah, but he's definitely a military man. So
Nice.
we were
Nice.
raised, he had this way of doing things, this way of cleaning, this way of cooking, and this way of just very straightforward, very, as our mother would say, militaristic.
Yep, they say he was, sometimes they preface stories with he was a military man, so you already know that it's that regimented way of doing and thinking. And I don't know if it's instilled in them or it's just the consistent every day you're doing it the same way, the same. And if you think about it, when you're in the military, if you don't do it the same way and everybody's not on one accord, things can happen. Bad things.
No, you can be killed. You step out of line, you step one way to the left or one, and they just like things clean and neat. And
Yeah. And one of the things I was looking at, one of the questions that or topics that we talked about was the indications of freedom, that you can't have a free nation without a good armed forces. And I guess I kind of understand it, like, okay, because other people attack and come in and take over your country and you have no way of defending yourself. So I understand that part. But are there any free nations that don't have military, like armed forces? I wonder.
I mean, I don't know what it is. Does Switzerland have one? Like, they always associate like peace, real peace with Switzerland. Somewhere like that. Somewhere that's like,
let's see.
Totally detached.
I'm pretty sure they do. I mean, they said most of them have armed forces, and Switzerland does have. They don't have as big of a Department of Defense as we do. Apparently, it says 120,000 active duty in the Swiss armed forces. So, but if you think about it, if you did not have an army or a navy or someone,
you're gonna be invaded. You're gonna be
you can be invaded, and the way you get your country taken over is someone else has guns, someone else has things that'll make you more compliant. So I guess that kind of thing is true.
Yeah, and also the people within the citizens within the country, there can be civil unrest. How are you going to, how are you going to quell that unrest if you have no anything to protect? And if you have it, you should be able to protect it. You buy a house, you buy a car, there's locks on it, there's protections for it. So if you have a country, you got to have a border, you got to have some sort of a system to control who's coming in, who's flying over. You got to have that. If you don't have that, you're vulnerable.
That is an excellent point. That is so true. It's like you're vulnerable. You can't protect yourself. It's like your dress is up in the wind. You're vulnerable.
What I would say is, I think not anybody, but I think if you go visit Arlington Cemetery, it's such an interesting place. It's so quiet. The soldier that just walks up and down, salute, the way he does it, it just makes you feel a little more patriotic than maybe you are on a day-to-day basis. And also on Memorial Day, if you watch the wreath of the unknown soldier, when you watch them lay the wreath, it's just these people gave their lives. It's not because they 100% agreed with this country. It's not because of whatever, but they were, they felt that dedication and that loyalty. And so that's why we want to acknowledge them, because if you avoid the draft, you are 100% doggy do. If you avoid the draft.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you take Muhammad Ali as an example, I mean, he got a lot of crap for it, but in the end, he became a sweetheart, a boxing, legend.
Yeah, boxing people, but you can't. I think even if you try to like run for president or run for something, they'll be like draft dodger. They'll call you names. I mean, even you're a little maligned because of it. So, it's definitely almost not, like you said, voluntold. It's not really.
Yeah. And that, that's for sure. With the draft, I mean, a lot of people, there were people, I'm sure, that said, okay, I'm not gonna go. I'd rather go to jail or do whatever. But for the most part, you're looked at in a certain way, like you said. So one of the things we said we would talk about is the politics of it. People don't realize how the politics plays into the military. For one, the Department of Defense is the largest government agency out of everything, out of the Treasury Department, out of everything.
There's a whole bunch of agencies.
Yeah, and they have the largest workforce. They're the largest government agency. They have a large budget all the time. Like Congress always agrees, and I guess whatever money they ask for, they get. I don't know.
In fact, I think every president increases the budget, right? Like every president is known as adding more money to that budget. Yep. We could go completely broke. They're not taking money from
the military, and they just continuously add. The only unfortunate part is it doesn't usually trickle down to the people that are actually serving. That's a problem. That's problematic for me. It doesn't ever trickle down, but they have like a lot of the ammunition. They said there's so much ammunition and firepower that they don't use that'll probably rust because they don't use it, but they're always throwing money. So when you're throwing money, what do? You spend it on stuff that you may not need.
So. And what people might not know about the government is that if they give you money and you don't spend it, the next time they're going to give you less money.
It's getting smaller. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So they know. I mean, when I was in the federal, we were like, spend it.
Yep.
Use all the supplies.
Find something. Yep.
Yeah. Because if you don't, they're going to give us less.
But see, the problem with that is they should reallocate it to something that is necessary. Like maybe spend it on government increased wages where people will be happier. Spend it on things that'll be tangible. But that makes too much sense, I guess.
Yeah, well, like maybe take care of the families. Maybe take care of the babies, the family, the wives that have to stay home with the child for the whole 3 years or whatever. How about taking care of soldiers who come home injured? How about, I know of definitely at least one person that's wounded, like, has a physical problem because of being in service. And I don't know if I don't know if they really take care of you. They just don't take care of you. I mean, my nephew had gotten really sick and they got to see their own Army doctor. They got to do, they're very, very particular about where you go and your diagnosis and what you can do and how long you can recover.
Which is weird. Yeah. It's so weird that you serve this country and you have to fight for the rest of your benefits when you come home. It's like, wait a minute. I want or need this because this is what happened to me while I was away and serving this country. And like we said previously, if you don't have a strong military, then you lose your freedom. Bottom line. So
and I know around the George Floyd protests, they were saying they were going to use the military. Now you have minorities, people of color in the military. You want them to fight against their own people for a cause. And let me tell you, speaking of the politics of it, there's a lot of rapes, a lot of just prejudice, I mixed up that word, prejudice, racism, and all that.
You conflated them.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in there, and the government just doesn't take care of their people. They just don't. They just don't. You serve them,
but they're not problematic. And that is definitely problematic. And I keep looking over because I'm looking at certain notes that I had and certain things that I had looked up on, online and everything. I know we have, of course, everybody usually knows the branches, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines. You have the National and Coast Guards, and then you have the Space Force, which President Trump had installated. The only one I believe that's not under the Department of Defense is the Coast Guard. They've been moved to Department of Homeland Security.
Like their homeland, their homeland security.
To protect the coast and everything. But the other thing with the politics of it is the Secretary of Defense is appointed by and serves directly under the president. So he has the president's ear and he makes decisions on what type of commands the military will receive, what type of advice the president advice given to the president for actions taken within the military. So he has the direct ear of the president. And the current military, the current Department of Defense Secretary is the first African-American person that served. And I wrote his name somewhere and
I forgot his name. I got his face right in my head.
Lloyd Weston. I knew I wrote it somewhere. Lloyd Weston. So he's the first Black. And we highlight those things because until it's not a first Black, I want to highlight.
Isn't that weird? Hundreds of years of a country and he's the first.
He's the first Black Secretary of Defense. So those things are key. And we just wanted to come on and talk about, the fact that we do have a strong military. And aside from everything, I know I'm grateful. I'm pretty sure you're grateful for the military and all the veterans that chose to serve. And the ones that were voluntold, like I said.
Voluntold. Let me tell you, lastly, I know we're done. We already have 15 minutes, so we probably want to hurry it up, right? I was just very grateful when I saw the National Guard during the COVID times when we had to dispense with the vaccine and dispense with testing. They were very instrumental. They're more the peaceful side of it, I guess. They're not the war side of it. They're the side to just maintain order and stuff. And so they were actually talking about bringing them in for our food shortages, which, guys, will do that. You're going to see that episode coming up on the food shortages, but they are talking about using them for that purpose. So, when you distinguish between the part that's for the war part, going out to other countries and even protecting us here at the borders, and then there's the ones to maintain order here and to help with supply chains and stuff like that. Definitely. So
and we want to thank them also. Remember, we saw them when, like you said, with the protests when they were happening, we saw them come out. We also saw that they were kind of delayed when it came to the January 6th thing. I don't know where they were, but they were
they weren't commanded to go.
Yeah, and that's
the commander was the one starting.
Wait, I was gonna say, and that's where the politics of it comes in, because if you have a Secretary of Defense that's like, hey, I'm going to jump all over this and get the president on the phone and get interaction.
He's the commander-in-chief.
Then I mean, what do you do? But hey, we wanted to end on a good note, and we're like I said, we are both so grateful for those who serve. And I mean, if you served and you're watching this, we're forever grateful to you, and we're thankful for all your service. And it's not just something we say. I mean, it's how we feel. So thank you for your service, and happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day.
Don't forget to follow us at 2 Poly Chicks on Insta. I always mess this up. Insta, Facebook, and Twitter. Email us at 2polychicks@gmail.com. You can always do what Cindy's saying, like, dislike, subscribe, comment.
I forgot to say we wear blue, red, white, and blue.
Yes. Well, I don't have blue. I don't have anything blue, but I do have the red and white.
Red and white, yeah. Okay.
Of course. All right. Strong. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.